Hello everyone and welcome back to my Star Citizen channel. We just got another PTU patch and today I want to quickly go over what changed in this latest update, especially when it comes to weapons, penetration and this whole cone behavior. A quick side note, yeah, VR is kind of the biggest hype topic in the Star Citizen community right now. I am interested too and I would love to try it, but I don't have a headset at the moment. So that's not what this video is about. What I do want to focus on are the changes to weapon damage, penetration damage and how the impact cone behaves now. And on the defense side, shields also got buffed and in some cases they are noticeably stronger. But the real reason I'm making this video is I want to show you something I personally think is really cool. I basically visualized all of this for myself because it makes it way easier to understand the technical patch notes terms and more importantly the actual numbers. Once you can see it, it becomes a lot more tangible and that's why I wanted to share it with you. If you enjoyed the video or this visualizer, please drop a like and share it. It helps the channel a lot. And just so you know, this isn't finished. I'm going to keep updating the file and keep working on it whenever values change or new stuff gets added. And if we get another big balance patch in the next weeks or months, I will also do a quick update video on that. Alright, let's get into it. What I did here is I'm using the ship data that's available to us. On the right side you can basically see the hard facts for the selected ship, how much HP it has, how much armor, how much shield and so on. And you can switch ships anytime just to get a feeling for the scale we are actually talking about. On the left side you see a kind of 3D box, a simple three-dimensional shape. This is obviously not a one-to-one ship model like you would see in Star Citizen. It's not about looks, it's about making things more tangible, but the dimensions are correct. Width, length and height match the values you see on the right. For example, I've selected the Karak here and this small red element you see inside represents the penetration of the weapon that's currently selected. Basically how far the shot goes into the ship. Here it says 3.6%. Yeah, don't worry if that looks tiny right now. That's because the currently selected weapon is pretty small. Yeah, in a second I will show you examples where it gets a lot more extreme. Down here you can also see the weapon itself and the corresponding penetration values. What you see in red is basically the visual translation of those numbers. And in the side view you can really see what that means in practice. For the impact you can see the radius is smaller at the front and then the cone spreads out further as it goes deeper. And I will be honest, CIG nerfed this pretty hard in this patch. The values dropped a lot and not just for cannons but for many weapons in general. But what I actually like is this looks more realistic now. The cone forms and opens up as it goes deeper. Before it felt more like the front and the back were kind of the same wide, and now you can clearly see it expanding. Now let me pick a different weapon, something bigger. Let's go with the M11A laser cannon, which is a size 9 weapon. Right away you can see the key stats. It has a penetration distance of 15 meters. The damage starts at a near radius of 0.8 meters and goes up to a far radius of 1.5 meters. And you can see that in the visualization up top. And of course you also get alpha damage and DPS here, so you can put it into context. What I really like about this is on the Karak you can instantly see how much of the ship this actually affects, how deep it goes and how much volume is inside that cone. I can also zoom in just to show it more clearly. And you can already tell, even though this is a size 9 laser cannon, the cone is still way tighter than it used to be in the previous version. That's the nerf people are talking about. Impact area and cone size got reduced a lot. Now let's pick something where you immediately feel, okay, this is a different level. For example, the RSI Medusa. That's the one from the Perseus and it's a monster of a weapon. Here we have got a near radius of 1.5 meter and a far radius of 3 meter. That's a completely different scale and you can see it instantly in the visualization. On the Karak this makes a huge difference. The cone becomes much wider and longer. You get a real sense of what it means relative to the ship. And if we go even further and select the destroyer mass driver gun, that's the Idris weapon, then it gets even crazier. Even though it also got nerfed really hard, in the visualization it still looks brutal. Here it says penetration 50.4 meter and the cone goes up to 5 meter wide. And when you look at that on the Carrack, it honestly looks like it goes through almost half the ship. And of course you can select other ships too. If you want to see this with truly large ships, it works the same way. For example, you can pick the 890 Jump. That ship is around 210 meter long. And you can test the destroyer mass driver on it as well. And you immediately see how insane that penetration really is. Because in practice, that means if an Idris hits you with the mass driver, we are talking about around 50 meter of penetration. And on the way there, it basically destroys everything because the cone is up to 5 meter wide. Anything in that area takes damage and realistically it just gets wiped. But honestly, that's kind of how it should be. It's a huge weapon on a huge ship. Now, quick general thoughts on the patch. Outside the weapons and penetration changes, one thing I noticed, I sometimes get really weird FPS drops, and I don't mean a little stutter, I mean going from 80 FPS down to 6 FPS for a few seconds. Then it recovers and runs normally again. I'm not sure if that's some debug overhead because it's a P2 build, but they definitely need to get that under control. It would be pretty bad if something like that made it into life. But honestly, I'm still confident they will fix it in time. The biggest thing people seem to be upset about right now is the whole health pool armor situation and the current armor implementation in general. A lot of the community is basically saying, wasn't the point of engineering that ship components and different ship areas would eventually have their own health values and that it would actually matter where you hit a ship? Just as an example, take the Terrapin. It would make total sense if certain areas like the side doors had different armor values than other parts of the hull, and that it matters whether you are getting hit from above, below or from the side because the armor layout is different. CIG already confirmed that something like this should come later, and that's why I personally don't really understand the level of outrage right now. This is Star Citizen and we all know when something gets introduced, it almost never arrives fully finished in one go. It comes in steps. We still have months ahead of us, probably quarters, until this lands in the place most of us actually want it to be. And yes, our feedback plays a role in getting there faster, but completely losing it over the very first implementation just feels unnecessary to me. Another thing people are angry about, power plants. If they get damaged and drop to 0%, it seems like you can't really repair them properly and then they just explode. That obviously sucks, no question, but I also don't think that's intended and I'm pretty sure they will change that. And of course, a few ships got rebalanced again, for example the Gladiator or the Asgard, and for the Asgard a lot of people are saying it needs more armor so it can actually fulfill its role. But then the next argument instantly pops up. Okay, if it gets more armor or more staying power, shouldn't the Valkyrie also get something? That's just how these balance chain reactions always go. And apparently the Polaris shields got pushed closer back to the original state, if I'm not wrong. If I remember correctly, the Polaris is back to over 900,000 shields now. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and share it. Yeah, I will see you next time. Take care.